Hi everyone, this is Moni Singh and welcome to Teaching STEM. We all, irrespective of how we look, we all have our share of problems. Doesn't matter at all how we look, and just knowing and accepting that the problems are going to be there is the first step in that process. Okay, so the next thing is that know that if there is a problem, there is a solution, and better yet, multiple solutions to that problem. And again, it's many times it's hard to know it just because you're not able to see the solution or know what the solution is, doesn't mean that it does not exist. It does. And believing that the solution exists is another step in that process. So I remember long time ago when I was growing up, one of my friends handed me this Rubik's Cube, right? And she was basically challenging me, saying, okay, can you go solve it? And I go round and round here, try different things. I'm thinking through this and try different. Basically, I just can't solve it, right? I gave up. I couldn't solve it. And back then, so I'm a Generation X. I was not born with technology, right? So those were still the days where if you wanted to find an answer, you either go buy this thing and maybe it came with an instruction manual on how to do this, or you go to a library and you look through documents, encyclopedias and stuff like that to figure out the answer. And so yeah, I was little and I didn't care as much and I just gave up on this. Later on, quite later actually, a couple of years back is when I decided to challenge myself with the Rubik's Cube, and I actually bought one. And that's the time when I realized that this thing, there is a solution. There not just one but multiple solutions. There's a process, step by step process on how you can solve that. And that was a big aha moment for me. I had not even realized that there is a process to solving it, because you could start in so many different ways. There is, when you where you begin, you never know. The colors could be in totally different. So how do you solve it? Because your starting point could be just multiple variations to that. But yes, there is a process to it. And once I figured out the process, all I had to do was invest a couple of hours. The instruction manual that came with this, along with several YouTube videos and tutorials and whatnot. And then several days, months of practicing. And yeah, I figured out how to solve this. And not only that, got it down to under 3 minutes in solving this. So the point is that just because we don't know doesn't mean that there's not a solution. There is a solution, and for every problem, just know that the solution exists. It is a process. It takes time. It takes effort. Okay. Now, number three, and this is the belief that there you are capable of solving the problem now, or maybe you're not capable now, not yet capable, but you have the capacity to go figure out the skills, get the skills to cope with the problem yourself or through others. It's very powerful. So, again, the three things that we talked about, right? That accept that the problems are going to be there. There's no, it's always going to be there, right? Number two, problems have solutions, right? And number three, you are either capable now and you don't know it, or you are capable of finding the right solution, finding the solution, or finding the experts who can help you solve it. Those three things are very empowering. So going back to that, my toilet leaking problem, right? So here's the situation. I grew up in India, and one of the things that was ingrained in my head is the fact that we always had this issue with water, fresh water, right? And almost imagine that it's rationed water supply. So there were two times in a day that you would get fresh water supply. It was once in the morning, I think 7 o'clock or something, and it will come for maybe like 45 minutes or so. And then it will be another time in the evenings, like 6 p.m. to about 7 p.m. Those are two times during the day when you're getting fresh water supply. So when the water comes, this will be like a big thing, a part of your schedule as I was growing up. Hey, water is going to come, get ready, because then we'll have all the pitchers and jugs and buckets ready, fill it up. And if you're lucky enough and the pressure, the water pressure was strong enough, the water may actually, you might actually be able to get the water going up to your overhead water tanks and fill that up as well. But water was a big thing as I was growing up. And it was so much ingrained that, conserve water, don't waste it. And so here is this challenge, this issue for me where the water is leaking in my toilet bowl, and I just could not live with that problem, right? So I had to basically do something about it. Now, in my typical scenario, that problem would have gone to a honey-do list. And of course, my honey was outside, so there was no other. Basically, I had to get up and figure out an answer to that. So I said, okay, I'm going to turn off the water supply. That's my worst case scenario till the time I figure out, who to call, how to solve it. And so, well, I didn't even know how to turn off the water supply. So I go do a quick Google search, and here comes an article that says leaking toilet. Here are four possible things that could be happening. So I said, okay, I can give it a try. I'm an engineer, right? Let me give it a try. And so I said, okay. So I'm going down that list. The first one, they're talking about the fill pipe. Then there's something about the floater. And the third thing says check your flapper. So you know how the tank has where the water collects. There's a flapper that basically opens or closes, and that's how the water from goes from the tank to the bowl. And so they say, okay, check the flapper, and if there's a chained cord that actually connects that and lifts it up or down, and if that cord is short or maybe it's entangled somewhere, it's keeping that flap just a little bit open, and that's why water is continuously leaking. And that was the issue. So I was able to resolve it. So and again, it was just such a great feeling of, hey, I just fixed this thing which I didn't know anything about, and we resolved it. So the big point is that having that mindset, acceptance, that's the critical thing, the very first step of being able to solve any problem. So begin with acceptance.